Hi, everyone. Welcome to Heisenberg English Podcast.
Hi, everyone. Today's lesson is for every developer, designer, and freelancer who has ever received a brief and thought,
What does this even mean?
your client sends you a brief. It says things like, make it modern, or I want it to be fast, or something like Airbnb but simpler. You have no idea where to start, but you're afraid that asking too many questions will make you look inexperienced.
How do you ask for more details without sounding like you don't know what you're doing?
The truth is, asking the right questions is what professionals do. Let's practice.
Here's the situation. Mr. White is a startup founder. He hired Pink to build a web application for his company. He sent a one-page brief. The brief says, we need a dashboard for our customers to track their orders. It should be modern, fast, and mobile-friendly. Something like Shopify, but simpler. We want it done in 6 weeks.
Hi, Mr. White. Thanks for sending the brief over. I've read through it and I'm excited about the project.
Great. So are we good to start?
Almost. I want to make sure I understand the project clearly before writing any code. I have a few questions that will help me give you a more accurate timeline and quote. Do you have about 15 minutes?
Sure. Go ahead.
Great. I'll keep them organized. First, let's talk about the users. When you say customers, who are we talking about? Is this for your end users, the people who buy from you, or is it for your internal team to manage orders?
It's for our customers, the people who place orders on our website. They should be able to log in, see their order history, and track where their delivery is.
Got it. So it's a customer-facing portal with login, order history, and delivery tracking. Just to confirm, will customers also be able to place new orders through this dashboard, or is it only for tracking existing orders?
For now, just tracking, but we might want to add ordering later.
Okay, that's a really important distinction. I'll build the architecture in a way that allows us to add ordering later without rebuilding the whole system. That way, we keep the initial scope manageable, but leave the door open.
That makes sense. I didn't think about that.
Great. Next question. You mentioned something like Shopify, but simpler. Could you help me understand what you like about Shopify's dashboard specifically? Is it the layout, the way data is displayed, or the overall user experience?
I just like how clean it looks. It's not cluttered. You know what I mean?
Totally. So the priority is a clean, uncluttered interface. That helps a lot. Let me ask it this way. If you had to pick the 3 most important things a customer sees when they first log in, what would those be?
Probably their most recent order, the delivery status, and maybe their account details.
Perfect. So the main dashboard shows recent orders and delivery status front and center, with account details accessible but not cluttering the main view. Does that sound right?
Yes, exactly.
Great. Now about the timeline. You mentioned 6 weeks. Before I can confirm whether that's realistic, I need to understand a couple of technical things. Do you already have a backend or an API that handles orders, or would I be building that from scratch as well?
We use Shopify for orders right now. Can you just connect to that?
Yes, Shopify has an API that I can connect to. That actually simplifies things a lot because I wouldn't need to build an order management system from scratch. I'd pull the data from your existing Shopify store and display it in the new dashboard.
Oh, that's good. So it's less work.
It reduces the back-end work significantly, but the front end, the part the customer sees and interacts with, still needs to be designed and built. And the delivery tracking depends on which shipping provider you use. Do you use a service like ShipStation, or do you handle shipping internally?
I think we use ShipStation. I'd have to check with my operations manager.
No problem. If you can confirm that and share the account details, I can check whether their API supports real-time tracking. That will help me finalize the technical plan. Could you get that to me by Friday?
Yeah, I'll ask my ops manager today.
Perfect. One last question. You said mobile-friendly. Do you want a responsive web app that works on mobile browsers, or are you thinking about a native mobile app, something people download from the App Store?
Just mobile-friendly, not a separate app, at least not yet.
Got it. Responsive web app. That keeps the scope and budget much more manageable. Okay, here's what I'll do next. Based on what we discussed today, I'll put together a project scope document that outlines exactly what's included, the technical approach, and a realistic timeline. I'll send that to you by Monday. Once you review it, we can make adjustments before I start coding.
That's really helpful. Honestly, I feel much clearer about the project now than we started this call.
That's exactly the goal. The clearer we are now, the fewer surprises later. Talk to you Monday, Mr. White.
Sounds good. Thanks, Pink.
Now, let's practice some useful phrases from the conversation.
The first phrase is, I want to make sure I understand the project clearly before writing any code.
I want to make sure I understand the project clearly before writing any code.
I want to make sure I understand the project clearly before writing any code.
This sentence does two things. It tells the client you're being careful, and it gives a reason for your questions. You want to get it right. Without this sentence, your questions might feel like an interrogation.
You can change writing any code to match your job. A designer might say, before starting any mockups. A video editor might say, before opening the project.
Always explain why you're asking questions before you start asking them.
The next phrase is, just to confirm, will customers also be able to place new orders, or is it only for tracking?
Just to confirm, will customers also be able to place new orders, or is it only for tracking?
Just to confirm is one of the most useful phrases in client communication. It tells the client you are double-checking, not questioning their judgment. It also protects you. If the client changes their mind later, you can point back to this confirmation.
You can also say, just so I'm clear, is this for X or for Y?
Just so I'm clear, is this for X or for Y?
Excellent. Just to confirm and just so I'm clear are your two best friends when asking clarifying questions.
The next phrase is, I'll build the architecture in a way that allows us to add that later without rebuilding the whole system.
I'll build the architecture in a way that allows us to add that later without rebuilding the whole system.
I'll build the architecture in a way that allows us to add that later without rebuilding the whole system.
This is a developer-specific phrase, but the structure works for any profession. You're telling the client, I'm thinking ahead. I won't just solve today's problem, I'll make sure tomorrow's problem is easier too.
Clients love hearing this because it shows long-term thinking. You're not just a pair of hands. You are a partner who understands their business.
If you're a designer, you could say, I'll set up the design system so adding new pages later is fast and consistent. Same idea, different words.
The next phrase is, could you help me understand what you like about Shopify specifically?
Could you help me understand what you like about Shopify specifically?
Could you help me understand what you like about Shopify specifically? When a client says, make it like Shopify, or like Airbnb, or like Apple, they don't mean copy it. They mean one specific thing about it that they like.
Your job is to find out what that one thing is. Could you help me understand is a very respectful way to ask. You are not saying, what do you mean, which can sound blunt. You're saying, help me understand, which invites collaboration.
Excellent. This one question can save you weeks of wasted work.
The next phrase is, if you had to pick the 3 most important things, what would those be?
If you had to pick the 3 most important things, what would those be?
This is a prioritization question. When a client says they want everything, asking them to pick 3 forces them to think about what truly matters.
The number 3 is important. Don't say what's the most important thing. That's too narrow and the client will struggle. Don't say list everything you want. That's too open and you'll get 20 items. 3 is the perfect number.
Use this question whenever a client gives you a long, vague wish list. If you had to pick 3, what would they be?
The next phrase is, before I can confirm whether that's realistic, I need to understand a couple of technical things.
Before I can confirm whether that's realistic, I need to understand a couple of technical things.
Before I can confirm whether that's realistic, I need to understand a couple of technical things.
The client said 6 weeks. Instead of saying yes or no right away, Pink says, let me understand the scope first. This is professional because you're not guessing, you're gathering information before committing. Whether that's realistic is a soft way to say that might not be possible. You're not saying no, you're saying let me check.
Never commit to a deadline in the first meeting. Always say you need to review the scope first.
The last phrase is, I'll put together a project scope document that outlines exactly what's included.
I'll put together a project scope document that outlines exactly what's included.
I'll put together a project scope document that outlines exactly what's included. Project scope document. This is the document that lists everything you will and will not do. It protects both sides. It prevents scope creep, which we talked about in a previous lesson.
Outlines exactly what's included. The word exactly matters. It tells the client there will be no gray areas. If it's not in the document, it's not in the project.
Always end a discovery call by promising a scope document. It shows you are organized and serious.
Now, let's learn the 5 types of clarifying questions every freelancer needs.
Type 1. The user question. Who is this for? When you say customers, are we talking about end users or your internal team?
Type 2. The scope question. What's in and what's out?
Just to confirm, is this for tracking only or will users also be able to place orders?
Type 3. The reference question. What does good look like to you?
Could you help me understand what you like about Shopify specifically? Is it the layout or the user experience?
Type 4. The priority question. If we can't do everything, what matters most?
If you had to pick the 3 most important features, what would those be?
Type 5. The technical dependency question. What do I need from you to make this work?
Do you already have an API for orders, or would I be building that from scratch?
Memorize these 5 types. You can use them in any project in any industry.
Now let's learn what not to say.
I don't understand the brief. Can you explain it again?
This makes you sound unprepared. The brief might genuinely be unclear, but saying I don't understand puts the problem on you, not on the brief.
Instead, say this.
I've reviewed the brief, and I have a few questions to make sure we're aligned before I start.
I've reviewed the brief, and I have a few questions to make sure we're aligned before I start.
Same goal, completely different impression.
What exactly do you want?
This is too blunt. It sounds impatient, and it puts all the pressure on the client. Most clients don't know exactly what they want. That's why they hired you.
Instead, say this.
Could you walk me through how you imagine a customer using this? What do they see first? What do they do next?
Could you walk me through how you imagine a customer using this? What do they see first? What do they do next?
Walk me through means explain step by step, and asking what do they see first turns a vague conversation into a specific one. Now the client is describing screens, not vibes.
Excellent. Guide the client to give you specific answers by asking specific questions. Sure, 6 weeks sounds fine. I'll start tomorrow.
Never agree to a deadline before understanding the full scope. If the project turns out to be bigger than you thought, you'll miss the deadline or burn out. Both are bad.
Instead, say this.
6 weeks could work, but before I commit, I'd like to understand the full scope so I can give you a realistic timeline. I'll send a scope document by Monday.
6 weeks could work, but before I commit, I'd like to understand the full scope, so I can give you a realistic timeline.
Confident, careful, professional.
Now it's your turn. Let's practice a short role play. So, we need a website, something modern, like Apple's website, but for our company. Can you do it in 4 weeks?
The brief is vague. How do you start asking questions?
I'd love to work on this. Before I confirm the timeline, I have a few questions to make sure I build exactly what you need. First, could you help me understand what you like about Apple's website specifically? Is it the layout or the user experience?
I just like how clean it is.
The client gave a vague answer. How do you make it specific?
Got it. So a clean, minimal design is the priority. If you had to pick the 3 most important pages or features for launch, what would those be?
Homepage, product page, and a contact form. But we also want a blog and an online store.
Those are all great features. For the 4-week timeline, I'd recommend focusing on the homepage, product page, and contact form first. The blog and online store could be a phase 2. That way we launch on time with a strong foundation. Does that approach work for you?
Excellent. You prioritized, set boundaries, and still said yes to the client's vision. That's professional. Today, you learned 5 types of clarifying questions and 6 useful phrases.
Phrase 1. I want to make sure I understand the project clearly before starting.
Phrase 2. Just to confirm, is it X or Y?
Phrase 3. Could you help me understand what you like about that specifically?
Phrase 4. If you had to pick the 3 most important things, what would they be?
Phrase 5. Before I can confirm the timeline, I need to understand the full scope.
I'll put together a project scope document.
Remember, asking questions is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of experience.
The best freelancers ask the most questions, before starting, not after.
Explain why you're asking before you start asking.
Turn vague answers into specific ones by asking, what does that look like?
And never commit to a deadline before understanding the scope. Now, here's something for you.
Think about a time when a client gave you a vague brief. Maybe they said, make it look professional, or I want something like Netflix, and you had no idea what they meant, but you were afraid to ask.
Write that brief in the comments. The exact words the client used. We'll show you exactly how to ask the right questions in a future episode.
Your real situation could become the next lesson.
See you next time.
In the next lesson, you'll learn how to ask a client for a deposit before starting work.
Keep practicing and see you next time.